What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of College Kicks. I'm your host, Gio, as always. And as you see from the title of today's episode, we have UC San Diego's head coach, Jon Pascale. Coach will be joining us today and just talking about, how the season went for them. Their postseason, they did play in the first round against Cal Poly. Sorry, I was about to say Cal State. Cal Poly, they got them in the first round. So we're going to see how that ended up for them. Just get coaches' opinions and how that went in their goals and process and everything and how they're looking forward to the next season. But like we always start with this channel, we're looking at the standings. We talked about the standings on the last episode. But just once again, if you haven't seen that one, just looking here, we're gonna look at the standings here. Just at UC San Diego, and you see right here, UC San Diego made it into the postseason as the sixth seed. You see right there, Sacramento's the bottom of 10 at 10. Um, CSUN is at 9, right there with 6 points. Then we got UC Riverside at 8. Cal State Bakersfield tied in points, but they are 7. They just missed it because UC San Diego beat Cal State Bakersfield into making it into the postseason right there. Again, if you guys haven't really known, I have a couple episodes back specifically on the standings. We'll do more about like the more in depth of the final standings, but these are the final standings of the regular season and postseason. We'll talk about that later with Coach when he joins us here. But yeah, UC San Diego right there. You see that with 11 points, and they just find their way. The last three games. It was the last three games I talked about before. They had 0 wins. I believe they had 1 loss, and they had 5 ties. Those 5 ties were keeping them in the hunt for the postseason with 5 points. And in the last 3 games of the regular season of the season in the Big West, they got 2 wins and 1 loss. So we see at their end, their final record are the 2 wins, the 1 additional loss, and still with the 5 ties. And lucky enough for them, that one of their wins, like I said, was Cal State Bakersfield. That was the first one. And their second win was against Cal State Fullerton. And for those of you who don't know, Cal State Fullerton were fighting to hold that first seed. But UC San Diego changes the landscape of the standings with this win at the end. They won 1-0 in the last 4 minutes. I believe they scored the goal. Not only does that drop Cal State Fullerton to fourth, that put UC Santa Barbara at first, and then we had the episodes out already. They are the regular season champs for the Big West. All games in the postseason will be going or will lead to UC Santa Barbara for the finals right there. So Santa Barbara ends up getting first because they tied with CSUN. They win the regular season with 17 points. That ends up being tied with UC Irvine above, and then Cal Poly ties them in points. But they have the 2 losses. So we see the change in landscape and how every game matters from the start of the Big West to the end. And so yeah, and we get right into it. UC San Diego, and joining us is Coach Jon Pascale. Coach Pascal, hi. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah, no, thank you for taking the time and just out of your day to come talk to us. And just got a few questions about you guys' season, how things have gone for you, and something I really want to start off with. Congratulations on a very tight race at the end of the regular season and making that 6th spot in the postseason when you were behind CSUN, and just like when from that 7th spot in the last 3 games, you guys were tied with CSUN at 5 points. And in those last 3 games, you got 2 wins and 1 loss. But that was just enough to get that 6th seed. Kind of take me through what was that whole process, the whole thought of from that moment to just make it to the postseason.
Yeah, it was an exciting moment for us. Obviously, getting in for our first Big West tournament. We've been eligible now for I think 2 years. So going into the season, that's something you always shoot for. And we felt like we'd been playing really well in Big West play, and we had accumulated I think 5 ties at that point. We had dropped 1 game to Cal Poly, And man, of those 5 ties, I thought we walked out of the Irvine, Davis, Santa Barbara, Riverside game thinking we kind of let it slip away. Actually, we thought those were games that we really played well enough to win. Left some chances on the table. So we were actually going into that. We were like a little disappointed with where we were. We thought we could have been a little bit higher, but we knew we were still in the hunt. And you've been in the Big West long enough to know that it was always coming down to the last weekend of the season. We really wanted to give ourselves a chance to get in. And down that stretch, we lost a couple key players to injury. Nolan Premack, our goalkeeper, Evan Wellerstein, our center back, two guys, our two most experienced guys, both captains. So I give the team a lot of credit for the way they kind of rallied and played and stuck together. And I thought the guys that filled in for those positions did an amazing job. And the Fullerton game was very exciting. It's a good, dangerous attacking team. I thought our guys did really well to slow them down, and we threw a lot at them as well. And it was a game that went back and forth, and certainly was anybody's match. And we were able to get the winner with about 3 minutes to go. Big moment for our program. A senior was able to get the goal and on senior night, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was well deserved, I thought, by the guys. I thought we were good enough to be in that tournament. We were just happy that we were able to get in there.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. And we had a game season, we had our game against UC Santa Barbara. So it was one of those situations where you guys, in a sense, were helping UC Santa Barbara trying to get
Right.
first place,
Right.
right? They needed you guys to get that win, and it helps you guys make the postseason. While we, in a sense, we were kind of helping Fullerton try to keep their first place. So it was kind of
Right.
like the stories across. But by that time, you guys had already passed CSUN in the standings and
Yeah.
points. But originally, it was the last 3 games where you guys were tied. CSUN was just ahead
Yeah.
because I believe just because they had a win, while you guys at that time had no wins. But
Right.
like you said, those 5 ties kept you guys in
Yeah.
there, and you guys got the wins big. And when it mattered big time, we look here. I have how you guys played right here. The last 3 games of the regular season. Move right here. You guys beat Cal State Bakersfield, who at the time they were in third place, coach, and you guys got a
Yeah.
big time. I thought it was a big time win, two
Big
to one,
time.
especially for your first win. You beat
Absolutely.
the team that was standing in third.
Yeah. Yeah. We played great that night, I thought, and it was an exciting match back and forth. I did think we deserved to win, and you could feel that momentum kind of building in our team. We were putting together good results, and um, so it was amazing that that was our first win of the season because we felt like we were much better than our record.
Yeah, and I definitely think when I was watching you guys' film and stuff, you guys played at a pace and a style that just seemed like you guys were always getting there, just wasn't getting either enough goals or any goals in some games where you guys tied 0-0s or you guys tied 1-1s. And those are games where like you just need one more goal to get that win. And especially like kind of playing on that right side with Dunbar
Mm-hmm.
and having him, he was kind of listed as like a defender, I believe, but he was also playing midfield because obviously, players change. You could mix them up. So you had him going up, and I think he was a big part of your guys' offense, whether it was him getting assists or him getting goals. Although it's not like a lot if you look in the stat sheet, but I think the stat sheet doesn't always show his impact, and
Right.
he's helped in that way offensively for you guys.
Yeah, Adam was
Um,
huge. At 3 goals in conference and a couple assists. I thought he had played well enough actually to get freshman of the year. Obviously, the kid from Santa Barbara they gave it to did really well, and there was a couple others probably that they were deserving. But Adam, no question, ignited our team. He came into preseason with an injury, missed most of preseason. So it was tough for us to get him in the match, and our pre-conference schedule was extremely challenging, and we were a little bit cautious with him because we didn't want to burn a year of eligibility on just a handful of minutes. And any of those games we wanted to throw him into were against top 20 opponents. Finally, against USD, after he had a really good stretch of trainings, we put him in, and immediately he sparked our team, and we knew it was the right decision. And I think Adam's going to be a big time player in this conference for years to come.
No, definitely. I definitely think he's a little more on the offensive side. Of course, like I said, you have him in the midfield, and he could help out defensively. But I think he's a lot more offensive minded.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he's
Um,
listed as a defender. To be honest with you, on our thing, I think that was a mistake. Actually, he was never looked at as a defender, but he's a winger, wide midfielder any day of the week.
yeah, and it shows on it. But looking back at the schedule real quick, you do get a loss to Sacramento. I believe that was their
Yeah,
first win of the season, which, like you spoke about the momentum, kind of that was just a heartbreaker feeling that, like, hey, we could get another win here. This is probably a
yeah.
team we can beat.
The Bakersfield match, we lost our center back Evan Wellerstein to a concussion, and so going into the Sac State match, I think I maybe tweaked the lineup a little bit too much. Maybe, and I think the guys still performed pretty well. And I got to give some Sac State credit. It was their senior day. They had some energy about them, especially to start the game, where they kind of countered on us really well and finished their chances really well. Gave up 2 set piece goals. Looking, we had lost Evan, who's 6'4", and Nolan Premack, who's 6'4". So we were a little bit on the shorter side, and it showed against defending those set pieces. Having said that, I will say Sac State deserved those goals, and credit to them. And I will say, especially the second half, we were kind of camped out in their end. Granted, they were protecting their lead. Adam got us within one there, down the stretch, and we had plenty of looks and plenty of opportunities. But again, credit to Sac State. They held up really strong. It's not an easy place to play at Sac State. And again, their team, you could tell their team was playing for their seniors on the night. So it was a little bit of a disappointing loss for us, but definitely well deserved by Sac State.
Yeah, and when I've talked to Sac State and their teams, they were a team that they've lost games or they've tied games because, again, they couldn't get that one last goal. They lost to Fullerton, I believe it was 2-1. They lost another game right after that 1-0. Eventually they tied with Season 2-2. So you could see at the start of the Big West for them, it was trickling to, hey, we're almost there. We're almost there. Okay, we tied. We're going. So it looked, it just happened to be in your guys' game where they did the work. They got the results that they really wanted in that part. And you guys and they played their heart out, like you said.
Yeah,
But
look, and they got good players. That's the Big West for you. I mean, the difference from the top and the bottom is minimal, and again, even Sac State, who had been struggling, they still have Donovan Sessions, who was drafted by San Diego FC last year.
yep.
They still have quality players on their team, and if one team's playing well and one team's a little bit off, the result's going to go a certain way. So that's, I think, what we saw that day for sure. And again, I credit them. They played really well.
Yeah, and of course, I agree. They play really well, especially with Sessoms. But back to you guys. I will ask about Premack because I do have a question about Premack and Wellerstein. But I want to finish out. We see, like we talked about the game with Fullerton. You got the last minute goal. I could tell you in our game here with Northridge, we heard cheering during the time. The Dodger game was also going on, Game 7 World Series. So we were talking about that. But I was also keeping an eye out on your guys' game. And at one of the moments where it was a stoppage time, it was the ref stopped the clock because one of the season players got hurt. And out of nowhere, we saw UC Santa Barbara make some subs. They played a little more defensively than they were attacking because the game was 1-1 at that time, I believe.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting and stuff. And come to check, you guys are winning 1-0. But I didn't make any connection until when I talked to them. Coach Vom Steeg said, hey, like we saw they would during that break, we checked the score. We saw they got to go in the last 4 minutes. We were like, okay, you know what? We could just go up with the time we get first because they were down. They only had 10 players. They had gotten a red card earlier in that game. So they were, instead of trying to force the win, they're going for a tie. So that's kind of like you guys had that effect. And that shows how big time that win was, not just for you guys, but other parts of the league. And it moved Fullerton down to 4th place. So you were a heartbreaker.
and knocked Bakersfield out. I think Bakersfield was on their way
you did
at that point. Yeah. So that's the way it's been the last couple of years for sure. Is again, last weekend of the season, there's still so many moving parts, and And we're just again happy to get the win and get in there, and we've been on the other end of it at certain points where I think Davis beat Sac State last weekend of the last game of the season last year. That kind of officially knocked us out. So this year it went our way.
Yeah, no, definitely. But now, like I said, I had some questions about Weller signing. And one, how was the decision? One, I saw the game against Riverside where Premack gets hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, to my opinion, I it didn't look as bad as the result ended up being. Right, it just looked like maybe bumped into each other. I saw you made this up because I was like, oh, maybe Premack just couldn't continue for that game. And then we get the results, like it was very bad. He was out
Yeah.
for the season. One, how much does that hurt you guys in the coaching decision? Like, okay, now I had to switch to Nick Deal, who
Yeah.
became your starting keeper for the rest of the season. And so from there, one on just the process with Premack, and like, okay, now I had these plans of the seasons with him. Now I have to switch to Theo, and then how has that been with Theo being your starting keeper?
Yeah, I think anytime you lose somebody as experienced as Nolan, it affects the team a little bit. And I think we saw that in our performance against Cal Poly in that very next game. That was a tough time for Nick to go in again against Cal Poly on the road after
Yeah,
playing on the road at Riverside on the Wednesday night. And the team looked a little bit unorganized for sure. After that, I will say, after a game with Nick back there, I thought the team really kind of got together. Nick does some things really, really well. It's better as well as any keeper that I've coached, and I've coached some pretty good ones. His ability to organize the guys in front of him is fantastic. His technical ability is great. His distribution is great. So it didn't surprise me once he settled into the position that the team continued to play really well. We actually changed up our tactics kind of shortly after that, and kind of went a little bit more on the attack. And again, I think the guys had complete confidence in Nick. We were a little bit smaller. Nolan's a big guy. Nick's not the
yeah,
biggest guy, so defending the
yeah.
set pieces came a little bit of a challenge. But again, I think Nick, he's a fantastic goalie, and anybody that's been around him knows that.
Yeah, and that was kind of like my question of, one, you guys change your tactics, but also it's their build also changes a bit of like their playing style
Yep.
themselves. So it's like you're saying, they change the play style. Of course, like you said, Nick is a great goalie and seen it. It's just sometimes the comfort, like you said, because maybe that Riverside was a nice little warm up for Nick to
Mm-hmm.
kind of get into the groove of it. But Cal Poly is a big time one, and for him to get his first start, maybe he had some nerves getting into it, maybe not.
Well,
But
if you go back and watch the games, the Riverside game, he had to make two big time saves at the end of the game to keep
yeah,
it level. And then Cal Poly, the goals weren't on Nick at all. I mean, the guys in front of him, and they'll be the first to tell you, they didn't give him a lot of help. And again, whenever you have a new player in there, whether it's in goal or in the back or wherever, it is just a second of getting used to. And I will say, Cal Poly really does ask a lot of questions out of your back
yeah.
line, and so it's credit to them. But yeah, I knew Nick. He got his feet under him pretty quick, and if you watch this last game against Cal Poly in the tournament, Nick was unbelievable. He's by far our best player on the night.
And so I don't mean to like ask any like
Yeah,
decision makings of now, but kind of seems like Nick for next season he's gonna be the starting keeper. I believe Premack was a senior, correct? He was a
Premack's a
senior.
senior.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, Nick certainly has played well enough that it's his spot to lose.
Okay.
We do graduate two goalkeepers, and like any other coach in the country, we're going to go out and try to replace them with the two best goalkeepers we can find.
Yeah, of
And
course.
then Nick will obviously have winter and spring here, to really kind of continue to prove his value, and I expect him to have a great winter and spring. But like any team, there'll be competition come fall.
Yeah, of course. That's kind of why I'm asking. It's like
Yeah,
you have your other keepers leaving. Obviously you could expect competition because keepers, any players grow better with stronger competition. So
right.
even if Nick has it, right, the competition gets better. So that was kind of what I was hoping for the answer. But now Weller's on Evan. He's someone that really stood out to me in the beginning and a lot throughout the season. He was a big time player. I thought he was pretty dangerous in set pieces,
Yeah.
and not just that, but one player, I believe, when I broadcast, I said that he was dangerous defensively and offensively, in the fact that he's one of the few center backs where he could go up and he's not getting right. He doesn't get a goal, but he makes people have to defend him. You have like their best center back having to mark another center back in the
Yeah.
box,
Yeah.
right? Because he's so dangerous there. And on the other side as well, he's clearing out those headers, trying to defend out a corner, a free kick, or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So to lose Nick, especially during that, I mean, sorry, not Nick, to lose Evan during that time, and how much of a help he would have been in that postseason game against Cal Poly. Like it's, I want to say it's like it's heartbreaking. It sucks, but
Yeah.
like you said, you adjust to it. But how he's been, the help
Yeah.
he's been.
Yeah, Evan was great for us. He was a warrior, a captain. I thought he had a great season, got rewarded and recognized for it with the second team all conference selection. There's no doubt he was a huge part of our team. It is not uncommon when you get to this point in the season where teams are injured and they're missing players. Cal Poly was missing a handful of guys themselves the other night, so it's just something you got to deal with. And again, I credit our guys. Adam Hillis slid into the center back position, and I thought did a great job.
Adam Hillis as well. I think the center back Hillis was playing a little more midfield against
Yeah,
CSUN,
yeah,
but I had seen him play center back, and I thought he also played very well in chemistry with Evan. I felt like they played pretty nice. Um, but I also did like him in that midfield just because he was able
yeah,
to help out a little more recovering there
yeah.
and turning around. So again, the versatility of having those type of players. Um, but kind of moving on to that last game of the season, go back here to the schedule. We see that the last game of the season, that Cal Poly game, was that first game of the postseason there. And we see it's a 2-0 loss. But like you said, they played, Nick played great. The teams just, it didn't get the result that you guys wanted. Was there a change of game plan from when you guys first played Cal Poly during the regular season? And was there
Yeah,
a change of game plan?
absolutely. I mean, we had changed our shape kind of slightly shortly after the first Cal Poly game, um, where going into Cal Poly, they do such a good job of putting you under some pressure, looking to pick balls off your midfield. Their ability to win second balls is great. So we wanted to adjust a little bit in that game, and we wanted to kind of put them in challenging situations the way they put us in challenging situations. And I thought early in the match we were able to do that. We were able to kind of put the ball in behind their back line, turn them around a little bit. And we have some pretty athletic forwards that were running onto those balls in the channels. And I thought we really got off to a pretty good start where we made them uncomfortable. I thought Cal Poly did a great job as they settled in and started to kind of turn the game in their favor, and they were really able to attack us and get in behind us in kind of some wide areas. And again, Nick Thiel had an amazing half, and we, they scored on 2 corner kicks on us last year, and they had 11 corner kicks in the first half. They were able to get into those areas of the field pretty quickly. I thought we defended those corners really well. So we got to halftime at 0-0. I was happy to be there at 0-0. I thought we had a couple opportunities to score, but they certainly had their looks as well in the first half. Second half, I thought we adjusted our midfield shape a little bit. That I thought was going to really help control them a little bit, and I think it was working. And unfortunately, we had a bad back pass early in that half that went right to their forward, who made a great little through ball, and they got in on the first goal. And then their second goal was an own goal. And before the second goal, Adam Hillis was red carded, so he went down a guy. So we never really had much time for the kind of adjustments of the second half to pay off, and had a couple just disastrous moments. It's been a little bit of our season this far, just our mistakes seem to have ended up in the back of our net. And for all the great stuff that Cal Poly put together, which they had a lot that night, and for all the amazing saves Nick made on the night, and he had quite a few, we look at the goals we conceded, and we're a little bit disappointed in ourselves that we felt like we gifted them to Cal Poly. A bad back pass, a red card, and an own goal is not going to win you a playoff game. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I understand what you mean by it. It's that feeling like, damn, we really kept up. We really could have been the ones winning if we just fixed our own mistakes. It wasn't really them that created and got those goals off their own style, their own playing. It's us that we, like you said, we give it to them. And
Yeah, and I want to be clear. I thought Cal Poly was the better team on the night and deserved to win the game, but I would have liked to have stayed in there 0-0 and full strength a little bit longer. I would have been curious to see how that second half played out.
yeah, no, and it's kind of one of those situations like, if only, right? If only this had happened,
Yeah,
that we
that's
got to
the
see
game.
how this,
But
yeah, that
it's not how
it
it happened.
changes. It changes on the game. Like that's what soccer is. It's adapting and adjusting on the fly of the game. Even if you make subs and you make strategy adjustments during halftime, or even on the game, like you're trying to coach your players. Okay, here, move this. Let's try it going. But the ball's moving at the same time, and it's just the beauty and the hard part of the game, I would say, just because of how fast it is.
Absolutely.
Just kind of getting here, I understand. Just the last few questions I have for you. One of them is how. Okay, I'm sorry. At the end, you guys didn't get the results that you guys wanted. Obviously, right? You
Mhm.
got out in the first round of the postseason. Now, is there and are you already looking towards next season and what when it comes to adjustments or it comes to what you guys how you guys want to play, team style,
Yeah.
formation, anything? Is that already a thought in your mind?
Yeah, I thought the identity of the team kind of started to take shape towards the end of the season, and we had a really young team. We probably were the youngest team in the conference, where we started a number of freshmen and second year guys. So I do think we have a really good core of guys coming back. I do think the league in general is fairly young, so we're not the only ones. We'll see what the recruiting trail brings us, but we have, you go into this winter cycle, and for me, that's always been about individual development of the players. You don't really have the games. The NCAA doesn't allow you the games to really test your team. So it is so much about getting each and every guy better and physically and technically in the areas that they need to improve on, so that when the spring rolls around and you do have the opportunity to play some other teams that the players have just grown and developed as that much more. So that's kind of been our focus now, is really identifying each and every individual player on our team, what their strengths and weaknesses are, continue to develop those strengths and make sure we're improving those weaknesses, so that when next fall rolls around, we're that much stronger. Yeah. College soccer is a challenge because you get your team in August and you got 2.5 weeks to put it together. So, I would expect to have a couple new guys helping us out next year for sure. But we do feel like we have a good core of our team returning.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like you said, you guys are young. You can still continue that build up and that momentum that you guys have this year. I think it's gonna be very exciting to see how you guys end up because you guys were a talk of the conference of just how you guys are gonna do compared to like last season. You guys did really well just under the these hey they came in, they're playing really well. This year, you guys had a lot more high expectation. That brings me to my next question of what were the goals before the season start, even before non-conference games, and what were the goals for conference, and did you reach those goals by the end of the season? The non-conference, all entire season, or even the Big West goals that you guys had.
Yeah, those are great questions. I think, like any team, I think our goals were to win some championships. So whether that's regular season, conference tournament, qualify for the NCAA tournament, that's from a result standpoint, that's where we wanted to end up. We did want to make sure we did qualify. That was a big thing for us as well. We really stacked our schedule before the
Yeah,
conference started. So the goal going into that was we knew those games were going to be tough, and we knew we had a young team coming in, and we knew we scheduled those games to make sure that those games would really help develop you, quite a bit. Playing against those top teams, you're only going to get better for it. The concern was if the results didn't go our way, if we were going to be able to emotionally stay in it. And I give the guys a ton of credit. Like, they really stuck together, and even though the beginning of the season was so tough, They continued to play well and fight hard for each other and never once kind of wavered. I thought that was key, and I think that's a reflection of like the chemistry of the team. We did want to knock off one of those big teams, and we ended up getting a tie at Cal. We were in it down the stretch against Duke. We had a couple games at home where San Jose, we were down 1-0, but we were on them, just hit one off the post before we took a red card. So we had some opportunities to knock those teams off. Unfortunately, we couldn't get any of those results. You could look at a tie away to Cal as a good result. But we wanted to knock off one of those teams, and so we fell a little bit short there. But again, I think the goal was to really make sure we got stronger as a team heading into conference, and that by the time conference rolled around, that any of the teams we saw during conference would not be the toughest team we'd played all year. Any of the venues we played in would not be the hardest venue to play in all year. We had seen it before in the non-conference schedule, and I think that accomplished the goal, which is why when we got into conference, I thought we were playing really well.
And those non-conference always helps, like you're saying, helps you to like, hey, we played harder, we're going into conference playing that. And I think it did help a lot to the fact that you guys, although you guys didn't get a win during the conference, you guys still stayed in, like we're saying, with those ties. Yeah. And those ties don't come without the experience of those non-conference games. And you guys are, hey, we've been here, we know how this is. Let's if there was 0-0, let's get this win as best as we could. Or if you guys were down, like, hey, it starts with one goal, we could tie it. Because I believe you guys had a game or two where you guys tied 2-2. So it's plenty of goals. Plenty of goals that were scored. It's just, how to take that lead. But yeah, Coach, anything else you would like to say for the viewers to know? This is kind of it.
Yeah, I'd say tune in to the semifinals. I think they're going to be great matchups, and the Big West is a fun conference, and it's one of those conferences where anybody can beat anybody on any given night. And I think there's some really exciting matchups. I think you're going to see a high pressing team in Cal Poly go up against a really good building team in Irvine, and then Davis Santa Barbara is a rematch of the conference final last year. And Davis's two top players are both Santa Barbara locals, so. I think that's always a little added storyline to that match, and I think they're going to be really fun. So hopefully, if you're out there, get on ESPN3 and watch those games on Saturday night,
or ESPN Plus. It's on there too.
ESPN Plus, sorry. Yeah.
But I completely agree, Coach. It's going to be some crazy tough games. Just unlucky you guys couldn't make it, but thank you for your time. I really appreciate you. Thank you for coming out, College
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. And guys, there you have it. Coach Jon Pascale, the head coach of UC San Diego, taking the time to talk to us. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to see our next episode, who we got and how things go in there. But till next time, I'm Gio. This is College Kicks. See you guys next time.